Where did Elijah go if no man can enter heaven? Some say he is in the garden.
Okay, by the way, we're back on Facebook. Okay, about 30 minutes are over, so now we have another session. We are back on Facebook. That's why it's good to be on the conference call also, in case we go off. Okay, so what happened to Elijah? Well, there are several theories of what happened to Elijah. One is that he was caught up into heaven on a chariot, and that he's in heaven. The other is that he was transplanted from one place to another. And some people say he wrote a letter from Elijah, which proves that he was just transplanted to another place on the earth. I believe the two witnesses are Yochanan, the beloved, and also Eliyahu. I believe they're both alive. Eliyahu, Elijah, and also Yochanan the beloved. I believe they're both alive. One represents the house of Judah, one the house of Israel. I believe the man carrying the pitcher of water, showing the Talmidim where the upper room was, where Yeshua was going to celebrate his Pesach, was Elijah. So I'm of the opinion that he was taken on chariots. He might have gone to heaven for a period, I'm not sure, but at some point he got off the chariot, and like John the Beloved, is alive and well on planet Earth. That's my opinion. The proof of that would be there's a scripture, we're not going to look it up right now, where we see Eliyahu writing a letter to one of the kings of Israel. And so how can somebody write a letter if they're in heaven and then send a letter to them? So that's one of those difficult things to grasp, but it's certainly possible that he was the man bearing the pitcher of water, celebrating the Pesach, that showed the Talmidim where the upper room was, the upper chamber. And we see the theme every Passover. We open the door and we sing Eliyahu. We invite Elijah into our Passover proceedings, because we know when we see Elijah, we will see Yeshua Mashiach ben David with him. So yeah, for sure, that is a very good hypothesis. Some believe he was taken to heaven. Others believe he was left on earth and is witnessing for Yeshua all around the world, as is John, and represents the house of Israel, the 10 tribes of Joseph, while Yochanan, a Zadokite priest, represents the house of Judah. Next question. Estella joined us. Welcome. Rosano, welcome. If you have a question, you can just type it in. We're going to be with you every week on our Uber conference class. We're also simulcasting that on our timeline on Facebook. So we'll be with you every Saturday. Make a notation at 1:30 for about an hour and a half, maybe, if we have a lot of participation. So if you have any questions, this is the right time. Yeah, Facebook gets timed out every 30 minutes. So we had an interruption, not because Facebook is not working, but because it times you out every 30 minutes. I don't see Bart here. I hope Bart is with us. Bart, let us know if...
On Facebook.
Okay, Bart's on Facebook. That's Tove. I don't see Edgar. Edgar, if you're with us, let us know. I don't see him. So let me know what's going on. Okay, who's next? Question, comments?
Hippie Lily Michael has a question.
Okay. Can you...
Hippie Lily Nicole, sorry. She says, using your calendar, how do people who work for employers get Shabbat off if it's not the same day every month?
Oh, okay. Okay, first of all, I would suggest, sister, that you read our articles, which will take you to the scriptures. If our articles on the Shabbat do not take you to the scriptures, then just ignore them, okay? The whole purpose of me sending people to those links is to get you into the scriptures. Once you get into the scriptures, you'll understand the creation Shabbat is different than today's Shabbat. It's irrelevant. Yahuwah is your provider. Yahuwah is Yahuwah Yireh. The Shabbat is a test. Tithing is a test. If you only have $90 to live on, how can you take $10 and give it to Yahuwah's work? Well, in the natural, you can't. It has to be, you have to be a Ruach, spirit-driven life. It's just, there's basically, if you want to know the truth, Yahuwah says you're the head and not the tail. Yahuwah says in Deuteronomy 32, in the Hazenu, in the Song of Moshe, he says, you are from above and not from beneath. You are the head and not the tail. You shall lend and the nation shall borrow. Okay? That's all part of the blessings of being obedient. Okay? So the truth of the matter is, what I used to do, even when I was celebrating Saturday as Shabbat, if you can celebrate Saturday as Shabbat, you can celebrate any other day as Shabbat. Okay? These are just excuses. I'm going to prove to you can celebrate it as Shabbat. If somebody told you that you had to pick up a paycheck, you had to drop everything you're doing and pick up an $800 paycheck, but it had to be on such and such a time on a Wednesday, you'd be there because you don't want to lose the $800. But you don't mind losing Yahuwah's favor and Yahuwah's approval. So that's irrelevant. Work, not working, I could lose my job. That's irrelevant. The first question is, are you ready to obey? The second question is, when is the creation Shabbat? When Yahuwah rested, before there were Jews and before there was Rome and before there was the modern day week? That's the next question. Once you've decided that, then you're ready to go forward. Now, what I used to do, I mean, it's a good question. I'm not belittling the question. It's an excellent question. What I used to do is when I kept Saturday as Shabbat, I would always hire the employer. We're the head and not the tail. Yahuwah is giving you certain gifts, whether it's cleaning, whether it's hospitality, whether it's administration, whatever it is. Yahuwah has given you certain gifts. Okay, so you can use those gifts in accordance with what He does, and He opens doors for you. So when are we going to start acting like the head and not the tail? When are we going to start acting like the lender and not the borrower? So I hired the companies. If they didn't meet my terms, if I had to be off on such and such a time and such, when the scriptures told me Shabbat is, and they did not go along with my schedule, I didn't hire them. Or if I did start working for them and they would not allow me the freedom to serve Yahuwah in Ruach and Emet, I fired them. Now that may sound haughty, and that may sound proudful, but if you really think about it, it's exercising your power to determine that your walk in Yeshua is between you and Him, and that He will open and close doors, and that He is Yahuwah Yireh, who sees and provides. Okay, just like He saw Abraham's act of obedience in Bereshit, Genesis 22, and then provided the ram caught in the thicket. First came the obedience. Okay, so when are we? My question is a little bit different. When are we as Israel, once we see and understand the true Shabbat? And by the way, in 10 years, there's not going to be any discussion. Everybody's going to know the true Shabbat. That's what Yahuwah showed me through the spirit of prophecy. Yeshua is the spirit of prophecy. Within 10 years, people are not going to be arguing about Saturday versus the true Shabbat. They're going to know it's going to be, He is restoring it, and He's not asking man's permission. He's just looking for a few vessels to use. So my question is, when are we going to start acting as Israel? Israel means to wrestle with society and the world and overcome. That's what it means to be a prince or a princess with Yahuwah, to be Yisrael. So if you're an Israelite, and all born again believers are citizens of the Commonwealth of Israel, Ephesians 2, 12 through 19, built on the foundation of Yeshua HaMashiach, Himself being the Rosh Pinah, the cornerstone, then we're going to hire the people that we work for. Very simple. We choose to get married or we stay single. We choose the kind of car we want, or we don't buy a car. Why can't we choose who we work for? Are we Israel, or are we the poopy porpers? Are we the porper poopies? Jason has a question. Okay, was there another question,
Yeah.
Mariamne? Yeah. I'll be right with you, Jason. Hold on a second, bro.
Everything you said was important.
Yeah.
She needs to understand that the Shabbat does not shift for us from month to month in this calendation.
Yes, that's correct.
That was her question. How can you get off if the Shabbat is not the same day every month?
All right, perfect. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, the Shabbat does not float. The only Shabbat that floats is Saturday, because the year has to be divisible by 7. If the year is not divisible by 7, it's an odd number. That means it floats. The current year, which the Earth goes around the Sun, is 365.25. That means every year you have to add a day. And then every 4 years you have to add another day. We call that leap year, to make up for the 0.25 or the quarter. So that regardless of what they call the day, pig, dog, Monday, Tuesday, these are all stupid names. Okay, what is Saturday this year will be Sunday next year on any Jewish or Roman calendar. What is Sunday that year will move to Monday. So the Saturday Sabbath floats. The true Shabbat never floats. The true Shabbat is reset, watch, at the turn of the year. The year turns on the 4th day of the first week, which is always the spring equinox. Okay? That's when the sun rises due east and sets due west on a sundial. You'll see a straight east-west shadow. A straight, direct, you could even use a broomstick and put it in the ground, and you'll see that on March 20th, sometime the 21st, there's a straight line. That's the turn of the year, okay? That's the 4th day, so the year always turns on the 4th day of the week, not the year. The year always turns, Tekufat Hashanah, on the 4th day of the week. 5, 6, 7, 3 days later is Shabbat, so that it's reset every year. And the odd 365.2 has no effect because we only count 364. So we count 364. Every 7 days is Shabbat. Day 365 is the reset day. We enter the great gate of Enoch, Enoch chapter 82 or something. We wait a day, or in leap years, sometimes we have to wait 2 days. But when the year turns, the Shabbat, the first Shabbat is 3 days after the turn of the year, which is always on day 4 of the first week. So the Shabbat does not float from week to week, month to month, or year to year, okay? Because you have a 7-day cycle based on the year, okay? You can't have a 7-day cycle without having a week. You can't have a week without having something to base it on, okay? What we have today, Sunday through Saturday, is a self-sustaining 7-day cycle. So if the Saturday was a true Shabbat and it was a self-sustaining perpetual 7-day cycle, then why would it need to be on a calendar? If you call Saturday Shabbat, can it be Shabbat for eternity? Yeah, it can. On one condition. You don't put it on a calendar. As soon as you put it on a Jewish or Roman calendar that has 365.2 days, what's going to happen is every year it's going to fall a day behind. Okay? So Saturday will become Sunday, Sunday will become Monday. So though the people are right that Saturday is a real Sabbath, then what you need to do is divorce it from a Gregorian Jewish calendar that has 365.2. Now, the reason you can't do that is because you wouldn't know when Shabbat is. If you took away all the Roman names, after a while, you'd lose track. You wouldn't know where to start. You wouldn't know where to begin. So you can't have... Weeks are designed to be part of 4 weeks, which are a month. A month is designed to be part of a year, which is 12 months. See, they're interdependent on each other. You can't just say, okay, let's call Shabbat every Saturday 7 days and divorce it from the month and divorce it from the year. You can't, because they're all interconnected. It's like the fingers need the palm needs the fingers, etc., etc. So as soon as you match Saturday with the astronomical reality that it takes the Earth 365.2 days to make a solar year, you have to account for that extra day. If you fail to account for the extra day, your Shabbat, which you call Saturday, will float from year to year. Signed, sealed, delivered, book it. It's an astronomical fact. So you either want your Sabbath to float or you don't. The only way you can stop the floating is to reset it every year. Okay, let's go to the next question. Let's go to the next question.
There's another question from Jason Lynn.
Okay.
He asks, can you help me understand Sadok and Melchizedek? Are they the same?
Okay, that's a good question, but it's a large question, okay? That's a very large question, so it's hard to get it segmented. Melchizedek is the king of righteousness, so he's the head of the order, okay? The Zadokites are in that order. So you have the head of the order, and then you have the Zadokites who are in that order. So that is the order of Melchizedek, with the high priest being the head. Some say the first Kohen Hagadol, the first Melchizedek, was Shem. Abraham paid tithes. He brought forth bread and wine. So we have all the elements of Yeshua there. Okay. Other people say that, well, if Shem was Melchizedek, so was Noah. So one thing is for sure. Noah, Shem, and Eber became the patriarchs of the order of Melchizedek, which later Jacob was born into, Abraham, Jacob was born into, and then I believe from Jacob to Yeshua, it was it was somewhat dormant. You could say that the high priest of Israel was Melech Sadok. Between Jacob, between Yaakov and Yehoshua, you could make the argument that the presiding Kohen Hagadol, the presiding high priest, was the presiding Melchizedek. You could make that case. And that's why Yeshua followed the Zadokite calendar and the ways of Zadok, because he was from the house of Zadok and the house of Judah. Okay, there had been mixture. We taught on that. It's on our website. You could find it. He was both a priest and a king. So in Yeshua, those two offices were united. Okay? Unlike Uzziah's folly. King Uzziah tried to unite those two. And it wasn't the right time, because only Yeshua can do that. So, now that Yeshua has come, and is our eternal Melchizedek, he's always going to be the high priest over that over the house of Zadok. So yeah, you really can't have one without the other. And the Messiah is Melech and Zadok. He's both. He's both the Zadok one, the righteous one, and Melech. Not just metaphorically, but also biologically. And we prove that from Scripture. Because back in the days of the Torah, Aaron and Moses, there began to be some serious intermarriage between the tribes of Levi and Judah, so they became one. And that was further cemented after the house of Israel split into two houses in the days of Jeroboam and Rehoboam. And if we study those in 2 Chronicles, we see how the house of Levi didn't want any part of the false days of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin. So they joined the house of Judah in the south and became the Kohanim in the south in Jerusalem at the temple. So we have several instances back in Numbers, the book of Numbers, and also later in Chronicles, where Levi and Judah have heavy intermixing. I mean, they literally become echad. So today, it's hard to know who's a Judah and who's Levi without DNA testing. And a lot of them are both. So Yeshua was actually both. Okay, does that help you a little bit? I hope so. If you have a follow-up question, that's fine also, but hopefully that'll help you. All righty, who's on next? We have, around me, do we have anybody waiting?
It looks like Elizabeth might want to say something.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. Well, I have several questions. Well, I have several comments. First of all, I like the Bible studies Wednesday and yesterday and Thursday especially the one yesterday about the harvest, the agricultural harvest stuff. In this day and age that we're more into industrial things, people don't really know about the agricultural harvest and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I thought you had said that Adam was a Zadokite.
Oh no. Oh no.
Maybe I'm confused.
No. I would not. I don't think I would ever make, even if I was on drugs. I don't think I would make the statement that Adam was a Zadokite. Well, maybe I would if I was on drugs, but.
No, I thought you had said from the beginning of creation. You know what I mean? Like.
No, Adam had dominion and authority, but you can't have the Zadokites until you have the tribe of Levi, and you can't have you can't have the house of Aaron until you have Yocheved and Amram having intercourse and having Moses and Aaron as brothers, and then the Zadokites come from Aaron, from the house of Levi or Levi. So, and you don't have the Levites. Pardon me. You don't have the Levites until you have Jacob, who had the 12 sons. So it was literally impossible for Adam to be a Melchizedek or a Zadokite. Although he did have the dominion over the earth, the same dominion as the latter Melchizedek's. We could say that. So what is your next question? We have about 5 minutes left. 10 minutes maybe.
My next question. You said that Muhammad destroyed everything except one, Allah?
Right. That is correct. Yep. In the Kaaba in Mecca, where they claim that Abraham sacrificed Ishmael, was going to sacrifice Ishmael, that Muhammad was a pagan, and the only way that he knew who the true Elohim was, supposedly, Allah told him to take an axe and smash all the idols and just leave one standing. And the one that was left standing was called Allah, the moon deity, out of the many idols in the house in Kaaba, which he allegedly cleansed. So yes, that is the legend. That sure is. Okay, Rosano, we need you here longer, brother. We want you here for hours and hours at a time. We want you to get drunk with the teachings, the new wine that Yahweh is giving us. We'll let you go this time. We'll forgive you. But don't let it happen again. So what's your next question there, Elizabeth? Your next comment? Go ahead.
You were saying about the dressing about. That's true. When you were saying about Calvary Chapel when you used to go. I've heard that about the churches today. Oh, God doesn't care how you dress, just as long as you come.
Yeah. Well, that is true. That is that, and we know that is unfortunately the spirit of the age. I mean, the marriage bed is undefiled. So what happens between a husband and his wife is where the activity and the excitement is supposed to take place for the believer. The world is not where we're supposed to get our excitement from. And if we look like it, if we act like it, if we behave like it, then we need to take a spiritual spiritual accounting and see what areas in our lives that we're not glorifying the Father. I mean, the word is very clear. The Torah is very clear. The Brit Chadashah is very clear. It says that we are to dress modestly. We are to cover. We are to. I mean, look at it. Look at the garden when Adam and Eve sinned in Bereshit chapter 3, the last verse of Bereshit, Genesis chapter 3, when they try to cover themselves with religiosity and works. Yahuwah, and they were still naked, fig leaves. Yahuwah covered them. He slew an animal, spilled the blood of atonement, and then covered them. So right there we see Yahuwah wants us covered, especially in our fallen condition. And I know when Yahuwah covered them, they were fully covered. They were not partially covered. No, I would also encourage us not to dress like Muslims, where you can't see the face, you can't see anything. We don't want to be identified as people who serve Allah. Okay? So we can't go crazy with this covering. We have to have we know what modest is. We're not stupid. we have to use common sense. The general rule is we cover, but we don't cover like the Muslims hiding the beauty of humanity. We cover for modesty, not to hide the beauty of humanity. Okay? They dress to hide the beauty of humanity. Okay, does anybody else have a question or anybody else have a comment? Jason says, I came out of Calvary. I came out of Calvary as well. Praise Yahuwah for the great awakening. Amen. Seems like everybody came out of Calvary at one time. Some people, and by the way, some people went down with the ship. They never came out. We're the fortunate ones. We came out. Some people never came out. Even the pastor of Calvary, Fort Lauderdale, was a good friend of mine. Or I wouldn't say good. I should change that. He was a friend of mine. And well, he decided to practice the world's version of polygyny, and he got removed from his bima, and it was a big scandal. That's what happens when you don't obey Yahweh. There's a right way and there's a wrong way. If you want to do polygyny, then do it Yahweh's way and be righteous. Be accountable. Be responsible. Don't go around behind your wife's back and not tell her a blessed thing and run the church in your spare time. This is exactly why we teach righteousness. The whole Torah is an instruction manual to show you how to live, how to dress, how to eat, how to pursue your sexuality. These things are not wrong. They're the correct behavior. Okay, so there's nothing in Scripture that says you shall not have sex. It tells you how. There's nothing in Scripture that says you shall not have more than one wife. But if you're that crazy, it tells you how. And it's not in the Book of Mormon either. Okay, we need to grow up. We need to do the right thing. So yeah, some people never come out of Calvary Chapel. They go right down with the ship. That's funny. That is funny. Baruch Hashem. Praise the name of Yahuwah. Alrighty, who's next? Anybody else? Another question? I'll go till 3 o'clock Eastern time because we've had a lot of feedback today. So I'm willing to go another few minutes.
I just wanted to ask, what's wrong with, I know there's something wrong with the church. I have some friends that attend that church, Calvary, and here in Kansas. They've invited me to go a couple times, but the Lord has put has pulled me back and told me don't go. Me and her used to be very close friends. The whole family is very close, but there's just something not right, and I just feel like the Lord keeps telling me that I'm not to continue having a close relationship with them. I'm to pull myself away from them.
Right. Two things.
Curious about that.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Two things. As you're coming into your Israelite heritage, let me encourage you. I know it's difficult. I know it's a process to begin to use the true name of Yud He Vav He. Lord is a title. It could be landlord, farm lord, house lord, nursery, the kindergarten. Could be a teaching lord. You know, a lot of lords And all the nations know the names of their deities. You know, Allah is a personal name. It doesn't mean God is great. It means Allah is greater than Yahweh. So all these nations know the personal. Let me encourage you in your return to the Commonwealth of Israel to try and begin to make a conscious effort to try to use the true name of Yahweh, number one. Number two, we go to Gilianah, Revelation chapter 18, verse 4, where it says, "Come out from among them and be ye separate, and touch not the unclean thing. And I will receive you unto myself, and you will be my sons and my daughters, saith Yahweh Almighty." Sorry. That's 2 Corinthians 6:14 through 17. Plus Revelation 18:4, "Come out of her, my people." You have to come out. You can't go visit on Sunday or visit on Wednesday night. There are unclean things in that place. 3 persons, which is polytheism, not knowing the true name, not keeping Sabbath, making up man-made days and calling them holy, celebrating Halloween in denial and calling it Harvest Feast. There's a lot of unclean things, and that's what I'm saying. We are to come out of every ism of man. Judaism, Catholicism, Calvary Chapelism. These are all isms. We have a manual that directs our life, the Torah. Torah does not mean law. It means the loving instructions of our Heavenly Father. So if we have all the loving instructions we need from our Heavenly Father, why go to church or synagogue where we get instructions that are made up in man's mind? And Yeshua said, Isaiah spoke well about you hypocrites. You're now teaching the commandments of the doctrines of men as if they were the commandments of Yahweh. So what you're getting in church, sister, is a lot of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, a lot of man-made traditions which they are dispensing as commandments. Okay, for instance, they say, we're not under the law. You don't have to obey the law. We're under grace. Really? Well, what's wrong with this picture? In the church bulletin, it says no drinking, no wine, no dancing, no movies. I can't go to any movies rated anything other than G. Okay? No smoking. Now, it's true, these are things are good that we don't do them. But they have laws. If they didn't have laws, they would have chaos. So look at the hypocrisy. They say, you have to obey man's laws. If you speed, you're not a good witness for Christ. Well, how about if we don't obey Yahweh's laws? Are we good witnesses for Christ? So that's the problem with the church system. They want you to obey their laws, but they ridicule the health and the blessings and the proof and the seal of discipleship that comes from obeying Yahweh's laws. That doesn't make you saved or forgiven. Nothing but the blood of Yeshua does that. But it is the seal of discipleship. So you go to a place and they have no seal of discipleship. Because Yehoshua said in Yochanan chapter 15, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. And what happens if we don't keep his commandments? Then it's all lip service. We don't really love him. So you're at a crossroads. You can treat our ministry as, well, I'm learning some stuff and I'm studying some stuff, or you could see it differently, which is, in my opinion, the right way, and say, hey, I'm in the process of returning to the Commonwealth of Israel from where the 10 tribes came from and went out and became Genesis 48:19, the fullness of the Gentiles, the fullness of the nations. I am no longer wandering the nations because the King of Israel has come to bring me back. Matthew 15:24. I have only come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Well, that must mean that he knew something about you that you didn't know. You were one of these lost sheep. See, and now he didn't come for anybody else. The gospel was the Besorah, the good news, the meat, basar in Hebrew. The meat of the good news was sent to the nations through Shaliach Shaul, through the Apostle Paul. Okay? But Yeshua himself only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And so Paul took that same message to rescue the lost sheep of Israel that were in the nations, which is why every Shabbat, the true Shabbat, by the way, before there was such a thing as a Jewish calendar, every Shabbat he went into the synagogue. What was he doing in the synagogue? He was fishing. The first place he went was the synagogue. Why? Because he was fishing for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So this is crucial stuff. If you're really going to make a full return to the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're going to have to adopt his instructions as loving instructions on how to live. And when we do that, you'll see that he doesn't send you to rabbinical synagogues that deny Yeshua, and neither did he send you to churches that teach that everything to the left of Matthew is no longer in effect and has been nailed to the cross. So you're at a crossroads. And I've seen a lot of people in the same place. They just can't make the break from that Sunday system. They say everything to the left of Matthew is just pictures and shadows and stories and point to the coming of the Messiah. No, they're not all pictures and stories. They're there to tell you how to raise your children, how to eat, how to dress, how to marry or not get married, how to remain single and be blessed. There's a lot of we're not studying our Hebrew roots. We've returned so that we can live them, like Ruth. When Ruth left Moab and said, "Hey, your people are my people. Your Elohim is my Elohim. Let's get on with the program." So you got to understand, this is radical discipleship. No more pig, no more bacon, no more lobster. Because that pleases Yahweh. That is what pleases Yahweh. And then we remember the voice that came out of heaven when Yeshua was being mikvah, baptized in the Yarden River. This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased. Because he always does those things that please me. It's the same with us. Yeshua said the same thing. If you love me, keep my commandments. The church says it doesn't mean that. It means 2 commandments. Love him and love your neighbor. That's not what it says. It says plural. If you love me, keep my commandments. Okay, well, where do I find the commandments? To the left of Matthew. But Pastor, you just told me everything to the left of Matthew was just types and pictures about Christ. It had nothing to do with how I was to live today. So that's why the church is not a place for you or anybody else. Not because they're bad people. They love Yeshua. They love Yeshua a lot. And many of them are saved. And the church is wonderful for evangelism. When it comes to evangelism, they do a wonderful job. But when it comes to discipleship, they're out to lunch. They don't have a clue. They don't have a clue. They don't know how to clean up the fish that they caught. All right, friends, I'm so sorry. We are out of time. So we're going to be on the Uber class and on Facebook every single week because praise Yah, Facebook, the buffeting and those issues seem to have been solved. And so it's been a true blessing having each and every one of you with us. We love you very much. We'll be back on the air on the Creation Shabbat this coming Roman Wednesday at 12 p.m. And then, of course, each and every Yom Shlishi, 3rd day of the week, what the Romans and the Jews call Saturday, at 1:30 here, and then, of course, live on the air at 11. If you have any questions, you want to communicate with us, you can send us a message on Facebook. If our ministry is a blessing to you, you can tithe and give a donation, and we promise you we'll use it for the work of the kingdom. We love you. Shavua Tov, Israel. Shavua Tov.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, friends.
Shalom, everybody.